We're having a heat wave, tropical heat wave. Going to do some sluicing. It's finally warmed up, low 20s. It's going to be an absolutely gorgeous day. All right, let's get to the creek. Well, we were camping right over there before, right over there. And we looked across the creek over to this little fella here. And I talked about how I was hoping to get over here to sluice. But yeah, she's froze up tight, so there won't be any sluicing in there. Hopefully we'll be able to set her sluice up right here. I'm not quite sure. We might be able to build a little dam there to hold the water back and get enough water going through our sluice. But we came all the way out through here through that foot of snow, so we're not gonna just turn around. We'll make it work. All right, beautiful day, man. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, I got her all set up. I don't think she's gonna run perfectly, but that's okay. We'll still make it happen, Captain. You can see I did some repairs with some white silicone. After I get some fresh silicone, I'm gonna tear those mats out and redo them. Thinking about replacing some of it with other material. We'll see in the future, but I think this is gonna work. I'm not sure exactly where I'm gonna dig. We know that current comes down, and when that current, when the gold is moving in this creek, that creek's going over those banks, man, and it meets up with that, and it pushes it out, and it causes a dead area in here, kind of. So we'll probably just poke around in here. We're just gonna have fun. We might not find any gold, but that's how it goes when you're having fun. It don't matter what you do as long as you're having fun, right? So let's get to it. I'll take a bucket out of here and see what it looks like. Beautiful day. All right, we got our first half a bucket from right there. Got her right here. Let's put the first scoop on together and see how she's running. Well, not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right, I'll keep pushing this through, see what happens. We might move around depending on what this looks like, how much black sand is in it. All right, I'll get this pushed through. Okay, I pushed that half bucket through, and it's not showing very much black sand. Just a little bit of black sand in there, you see that? And obviously no gold. So I think that the best thing to do in this area would be back in there next to the bank, but of course it's all full of ice. So why don't we move down here somewhere, take a bucket out of down here and see how that looks, huh? Good idea? All right, let's do it. Bucket number 2. Let's see what it do. Okay, I got bucket number 2 through there. I am seeing some more fine black sand that's actually sticking in the rib matting or indicator mat. I'm not seeing any gold. And this is already washed out. It's really fine black sand and it's washing out. And the box isn't set up perfectly, but I'm not seeing any gold in there. So, but the black sand is a little bit finer, but there's more of it. That tells me that we should probably be up on that bank a little further, but like I said before, it's all froze up. So while this washes out, so we can come and inspect the inspection mat to see if we even got a speck, let's walk up that little creek over there and see if we might be able to find some open water that we can work. Sounds like a plan, man, huh? Sure is a beautiful day. Look at that, something got a grouse. Probably a fox. Feathers all over. I was able to kick a hole down through the ice here. I don't see any moving water down there at all, really. Then if we look upstream, I don't see any open water at all. It's just been too cold. It's been down around 0 for a couple weeks now at least, man. So yeah, no open water. Let's go find someplace down on the main creek to take another bucket and see how our luck goes. All right, having fun, man, having fun. Okay, I walked down the ice here a ways, and over on the one side when we were camping, that's where we found that little speck of gold. But it looks like we might be able to set up on the other side and maybe do some digging, maybe get some gold down there. I'm not sure, but we should probably go try. And here's a tip: on moving bodies of water, creeks or rivers, don't ever walk on the ice. Don't be dumb like me and do this kind of foolish stuff, especially if you don't know the body of water very well. I know this pretty well, but the problem is if you break through that ice and the current takes you under the ice, you could die. You get trapped under the ice, and dying isn't fun. So don't ever be dumb like me and walk on the ice on moving bodies of water. But anyway, let's go gather up our stuff. We'll fight our way through the brush here, get down there a ways and see if we can find any gold down there. Okay, we made it downstream. I didn't have to fight my way through the woods. I actually broke a chunk of ice off and rode it down as far as I could till it got too shallow, and that worked out pretty good. I got the sluice set up right here. I think we're gonna try a bucket from right over here. I'll tell you why. I'm gonna try this spot. It doesn't look like the best spot, but the main channel comes down through there, and then some heavier current can push over through here because it gets wider here. Now, like I said before, when it's flooding, the water will be way up here, right, carrying that gold hopefully. And then, but even though there's still current coming over here, it's not as heavy because of all the brush and all the debris in here. So when that faster water kicks around here, you can see a little spot right here. You can draw a line right off where the faster water is going to go, and there's a little bit of an eddy right in here, slack water, where that gold can fall out and hopefully settle in there. Let's take a bucket or two right in here and see how it looks. Let's have a look at this material, shall we? Now, one good thing is there are some roots in here, and roots will kind of act like a carpet and trap that gold in here. But the bad thing is there's not a good mix of different sizes, which you know I like if you watch my videos. There's just too many finds in it. But yeah, we're still gonna gather up a bucket and see what it says. You never know. You never know. There is a bit of little mucky, almost clay down the bottom there, so we'll give it a try anyway. We'll give it a try. Okay, let's do this. See what it looks like. Like I said, it looks like there's too many finds in it, but we'll push it through there and see what it says, man. You never know. It's not running perfectly, but it's not running too bad. Not too bad. Alright, I'll see the black sand trail, and that's good. Alright. I gotta give that baby a little more elevation, I think. We'll be good to go, and I'll push this through and see what happens. Okay, here's a little tip. I gotta adjust my box, and I want to put my gloves on to do so, but my hands are wet. And those fleece lined gloves, once you get your wet hands in there, it takes away the insulating properties of the material they use in those gloves. Now, I can't say the same thing for natural materials. I'm not really sure. But the synthetics, once they get wet, you're cold. Your hands are cold. So instead of putting your wet hands in your gloves, just use your armpits. Dry your hands off in your armpits. If they're wet and you need to get them dry them off in your armpits. Not all over the front of your clothes. So you take the chance there is that you'll get cold because of that when your clothes get wet. But your armpits are usually always moist. It's a great place to just dry your hands off before you put those fleece lined gloves back on. I could be a tough guy and just stick my hand in the water, but it's kind of cold today and I'm a little wimpy today. So anyway, there's a tip. Dry your hands off in your armpits. Sounds silly, but hey, that's the way it goes. That's how I've always done it. Okay, I pushed that next bucket through, and there is a considerable amount more more amount more considerable. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here. There's more black sand in this one, so that looks good. I'm not seeing any gold on the black mat, but it's got to wash out a little bit first. So we'll grab another bucket and then have a look at it before we run the next bucket. All right, having fun. Yeah, we are getting some clay down the bottom there. See it? It's not quite solid clay, but it's almost clay, so that's good. All right, I'll keep shoveling, man. Okay, let's have a look in the box before we run this next bucket. See if we see any gold in the inspection mat. You see anything? I don't see nothing. There could be a speck or two down underneath the black sand. We'll find out when we do a cleanup, but let's push this next bucket through. Okay, we fed her. She was hungry. She ain't hungry no more. That's going to be our last one. We'll give her just a minute to clean out on her own, then we'll throw it in a pan and see what gold we got. I expect that we didn't get any gold. This isn't a prime area, or the spot we worked up there isn't a prime area to get gold in New York anyway. The gold in New York is very finicky. It's not textbook. It's not like you, okay, I'm going to go to the inside bend and there's going to be gold there and we're going to get some. That's not how it works in New York. I find that very high outside bends to concentrate the flow to the inside corner on very sharp inside corners tends to hold the gold the best. Like I said, New York gold is not textbook. You don't just go where you normally are taught to go and find gold and it's going to be there. Not to say that on all inside bends there isn't gold, but it's so sporadic you would have to dig up the whole bar just to get 10 or 12 pieces. Now, as if you go to an area where there's a high outside bend and a very tight inside corner, the chances of gold accumulating there are far better. And like I said, these spots that we work today they're not ideal for New York gold. So I'll give it just a minute to clean out on her own. We'll throw her in a pan and see what gold we got. Okay, make a fool out of me. I was just talking about how gold doesn't concentrate up very good until you get high outside banks and very tight inside banks. We actually got a couple little flakes of gold out of here. Let me show you. I'll zoom you in here. Put it on 2. Water's starting to freeze up in my pan. There's a flake right there. And then one smaller one right there. A little fella. Alright, we'll throw them right back in the creek, give them back to the gods. The gods seem to like that. But yeah, so I didn't think we'd get anything out of there. There was a good amount of black sand. We don't know if it's depositing. Let me zoom you back out. We don't know if it's depositing as the material comes around the corner and dumps in there, and or this bank right here is a little steep. Maybe it's eroding out of the bank here as the water's super high. Gold gets caught in these brushes and stuff, and maybe it's just eroding out of that bank. Either way, we got a couple little flakes of gold in there, and there was a good amount of black sand. Maybe we'll come back and work this little spot and other spots in here. I've always liked this little area down through here. Used to be some good trout fishing, especially in this hole. It used to be a nice hole here. Used to be a big old tree. I could climb up the tree and look down in the water and catch those trout, but it's changed now. But anyway, thanks for coming along. You gave me somebody to talk to other than myself. Greatly appreciated. Pretty soon some of the snow will melt. We'll be able to get back out to our more favorite areas and get some more gold. But until then, I'll see you on the next one. You keep having fun and I will too.